Well, hello. Welcome to my video. We're going to cover a little bit of the 2020 Polaris Slingshot Owner's Manual. Give you a little insight into what to look for as you're looking into this new model, which has some new changes. So let's go right to it. You're going to get a screen view of what I am seeing, so you see exactly what I do. And let's go to the 2020 Owner's Manual, which is right here. You can go on slingshotforums.com, and I have a thread, new owners information, slingshot information, and you under discussions, and you can find links to all of the manuals. Excuse me. Okay, this is what we've got, and this new model, the 2020, has they offer automatic transmission. It's not a full automatic like with a torque converter. It's actually kind of a semi-automatic, but they're able to, it has clutch plates, and it actually does kind of shifting mechanically instead of hydraulically like a normal automatic transmission. But it does the job and will give a lot of people the opportunity to drive a Polaris Slingshot. They want the adventure, this will do it. So let's go along and look in here. I suggest that you read this entire manual. The first 22 pages is devoted to safety, and they have a system here: danger, warning, caution, and notice. So a danger means that it could be life-threatening, and warning, letting you know. So get familiar with the vehicle, because right off the bat I'm going to tell you it is not a car. It does not have the safety features of a car. It does not have the stability of a four-wheel vehicle. The Slingshot is a three-wheel vehicle. It's got safety systems that will help you maintain control, but there are conditions that even the safety controls will not help, and that is primarily in rainy conditions, wet roads, and puddles in the roads. And a driving feature or hazard called hydroplaning is very bad for the Slingshot. My recommendation: don't drive on rainy days, or if you suspect you're going to get caught in the rain, be safe, because the Slingshot, due to three wheels, does not perform as well on wet roads as a car. So keep in mind these safety factors while you drive. Under accessories, right here is a very good website. It's on page 8. And just about anything you want to know about ordering parts, accessories, looking up VIN numbers of vehicles that you're trying to look at, this is a good site to do it. So as you go, and look, you see this is a link that you can go there. If I click on it, it will take me there, and we're just going to do it. And there's a lot of buttons up here. I would suggest you just go through and check them out. One in particular, VIN search, owner's manual here, owner resources, help center. You got a lot of stuff here you can look at. Okay, so to get back, I just go over here and back arrow, and I'm back to my place. We're actually on page 8. Going on down, this is just basic reading material. You can kind of skim through this. They have to legally tell you all of this, but it's good for you to know. And keep on going. Operating a slingshot vehicle has inherent risk, and they're going to tell you about it, and that's because it's three-wheel. And keep on going. Obviously, you're exposed to the open air, and eye protection is very important. Seat belts, and modifications. You have to be careful of what you're adding, especially electrical. You should investigate and not try to design your own products and just use any power available. You need to look into maybe an external or a auxiliary fuse block if you're going to add extra lighting and so forth, because the Slingshot does not have any extra fuse locations in the fuse box. They're all used up. So this will require you purchasing a auxiliary fuse block, and what this will do is allow you to connect a electrical connection to the battery and fuse out locations that you want to add additional lights and accessories. So that's for your safety also, and plus you can end up with problems. Let's see. Now, a lot of people add tops to their Slingshot. There's a lot of accessories out there that allow you to put a top on the Slingshot. Now, depending if you add exhaust systems that direct the exhaust out the rear of the Slingshot, a lot of drivers have experienced sitting at a red light and with exhaust fumes coming back into your into the area, or going low speed, they kind of pull back on you. So you might want to kind of be aware of this when you decide to add exhaust system that direct the exhaust out the back, underneath the fin, and high up. So keep that in mind. The weight ratio. This is important in that I think you've got about 437 pounds of cargo carrying capacity on the Slingshot. That's including everything. That's including the driver, the cargo, the accessories, and everything you put onto the Slingshot. So keep that in mind as you add things. This doesn't mean that if you go up to 500 pounds, the wheels are going to fall off. It's like anything. It's kind of a limit, but the designs are far exceed the limits. So just be aware of it. And it also will affect the stability of the Slingshot. The more weight you add to the back of the Slingshot, or it's balanced when you buy it. As you add things and like trailers and trailer hitches and extra stuff to the back, you're introducing some other dynamics that were not designed into the Slingshot and could create characteristics that could give you some problems under certain conditions. So just be aware of it and keep in mind what you're doing when you're adding things. Ask questions. Let's see, there's labels all over this thing that says it's a motorcycle and it's not a car, and it doesn't have airbags, windshield wipers, and all this kind of stuff. And just keep on going, and you can do the same thing. You're going to notice if you look at a pre-2020 Slingshot, the cockpit looks a little different, especially if it's an automatic. You're not going to have a clutch pedal on the left. You're only going to have a brake and an accelerator. And on the 2020, they've added some other things. They've added number 6 is steering control. What that is your audio devices, like your radio volume and changing channels and everything. This will keep you from having to direct your attention to the entertainment system. You can do it just like on a car from the steering wheel. On the right is actually the controls for cruise control. And so that's a little improvement. It used to be right on the turn signal indicator, which is number 1. It was right on the end of that lever, and was a little more difficult to operate. And keep on going. Hazard lights, obviously. And here's the thing: is they give you a master lighting switch for the Canadian models, but they don't for the U.S. models. Our Slingshots, when you turn the power on, the headlights and all the lighting come on, and you can't turn them off. Now, there are accessories out there that you can add a switch to turn the headlights off, because a lot of people want to run halo lights and lighting, special lighting, to show off the vehicle, and you don't want the headlights on. It just distracts from the look. Plus, it'll drain the battery in just a short time. So you might want to look into a light control switch accessory. And yeah, there's the audio controls. Electronic stability program switch. This is a switch that's close to the entertainment system there, and it's a switch that you probably should leave alone. There's really not a lot of reasons why you should operate this. One of the big things that a lot of owners want to do, and you've probably heard about or seen YouTube video or even ads, where the rear wheel is just smoking and the Slingshot is going in circles with the rear tire spinning and generating huge amounts of smoke, called a burnout. Now, in order to do that, you have to take the traction control off, and traction control is part of this switch. It's kind of a two-stage. You push it down one time and you take off traction control, which allows the rear wheel to spin freely without any limits. When traction control is on, it will only spin a certain amount, and then the system takes over. So you can't do real hard burnouts without turning off traction control. The other is the electronic stability program. Now, it's a little more complicated in that you have to hold this switch for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then you will have traction control and ESP off. ESP is your stability for keeping your Slingshot safe to drive under conditions that when the road encounters debris and sand and water and slippery conditions. This is the program that will apply the correct braking on the front wheels to keep you stabilized and keep you in the direction that you're trying to steer into. You don't really feel what's happening. It does it automatically. So that's what that switch is all about. you can read about it. And here's the controls that I just described how to operate it. Leave it alone. Cruise control is on the right side, and here's the controls. It's got a keyless ignition. Now, this means you've got a fob, you don't have a key, and to the push button, on the older models you had a key, and you had the red push button. You turn the key on and all of the lights come on, the dash lights up and everything is ready. You push the red start button and the engine starts cranking and cranks up. On this one, you have to push it one time to turn the power on, and then you have to have either, if it's automatic, you have to have your foot on the brake and push the red start button. Or if it's a manual transmission, you push in the clutch and hit the red start button. So, and this is with the keyless ignition fob within 10 feet of the driver's compartment. Should be on your person. And the fob is going to send a signal to the ignition system of the car that everything is good to start. If you don't have the fob, you're going to have to enter a code, a passcode. So there is a little starting procedure that if you were to lose the fob or it quit working, there is a way to start it. And this is why I'm pointing out that you need to learn a little bit about the new Slingshot for this feature, and learn how to reset the ignition with a passcode, or you're going to be sitting on the road and you're going to have to get some help, and it's going to mess up your whole day. So read up on this in the owner's manual. Instrument panel is totally different than the old one. The older models did not look like this. They had two full speedometer and tachometer, and you didn't have this big display. You only had a small window display, so that's something to get used to. And here's all the indicator lamps. This is another reason to come to the owner's manual to see when a light illuminates on your instrument panel, what does that light mean? This one right here, you better get used to, low fuel. And that means you only have like 1 gallon left. So you better be careful there. If you just look at these one time, it'll kind of jog your memory when you see them, what it's all about. And here's the Rider Information Center. You need to look at this area. It's best to just go to the owner's manual and look at each feature of this, because you can program this to what you want to display all the time on this. And your trip meter will be there, which you use a lot to kind of judge your fuel. Mode displays. Here's all of the different displays that you can have. There's actually 3 modes that are displayed on here: 1, 2, and 3. And here's where it tells everything about it. Only way to do this is sit down with the manual in front of your instrument panel and do it. Nobody can sit there and tell you about it. And here's some more of the mode levels and displays, error codes. That's important to know. When you do get an error code, you want to see what that code is so that you can report it, and that'll help get it fixed. display screen. If you have ride command, which most of the time it does, that is an elaborate system that even integrates into the control of the vehicle. You can look at a lot of things about the vehicle through this system. And it's a big section, and it's going to require some time on your part to get familiar with a lot of it. If you have ride command, this is where you'll enter the passcode if you don't have your keyless ignition fob, or if you need to enter that code because it doesn't work or something. So plan to spend some time in the owner's manual. Guaranteed, if you don't, life is going to be a lot more difficult. So if you read through it, you may be prepared for when you reach a point where things don't work exactly right. It might be just an easy solution and not a tow truck. Because I guarantee you, the people on the side of the road that come to try to aid you are going to take a look at the Slingshot and have no idea how to help you. And a lot of other people aren't going to be able to help you, so be prepared. We're not going to go through this whole thing this time. I'm going to break this down into a couple of parts, and I'm just preparing you for some of the things. There is a backup camera, and it talks about that. And okay. All right, we're going to stop right here.